Fun fact, that means testicles in England.
England land.
When Andrew was in England land, let my Andrew go.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Instagram at namely90s. You can also find the show on YouTube every Monday at namely90s.com/YouTube or youtube.com/@namely90s. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/namely90s and sign up for one of our support levels.
Yeah, so I did the silent count-in. I watched season 3 of iCarly over the weekend. Of the rebooted show, not the children's show. And they do the 5, 4, 3. That's me silently doing 2 and 1. Anyway, Bob Barker died. No. I don't know where to start. Pokemon's ending this week.
Yeah, I think we both had the same reaction to Bob Barker dying, which was
he did.
He's alive?
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea.
Like, no offense to Bob Barker, like, ripped to the max, man. But, he retired in 2007, 2008, from The Price is Right. And he has not been in the public eye for the last 15 years-ish. Like, I thought he died. I honestly thought Drew Carey ate him. I mean, what?
I still can't get over the line, "The price is wrong, bitch."
Oh, so
in, Happy Gilmore.
I follow Julie Bowen, the mom from
Modern Family.
Yes, but she was the love interest in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, you're right.
And she posted, that's how I learned Bob Barker had died. I was like, oh, that's cute. She's posting a Happy Gilmore photo. It was like her and Adam Sandler and Bob Barker, and
it's like ripped to the max. You're like,
yeah,
oh,
it's like, oh. But in that little blurb, she was like, Bob Barker was like so professional and so kind and so nice. He didn't want to say the line, but then when they were like in the middle of shooting, like in one of the takes, he was just so in it that he said it, and then movie magic was made.
It's a good one.
It's so good. Yeah. Also, following Bob Barker's death, the original voice of Harley Quinn from the Batman the Animated Series and all the following cartoons, Arlene Sorkin, died. She apparently was on the season finale of Frasier, or series finale of Frasier, which is relevant because Frasier's coming back in October or November, I think. And what was my point? Oh, she was known in the late 80s for Days of Our Lives, which is a daytime soap. Left in 1990. But also ripped to the max. Arlene Sorkin.
Did anyone live since our last recording?
Apparently not. Taylor Swift killed Friday the 13th, which is coming up next month. There's a release of there's a new entry in the Exorcist franchise from the indie horror people Blumhouse Productions that was releasing on Friday the 13th. And Taylor Swift in the last day or two announced that the movie version of her Eras tour, or like a documentary or something, is going to be releasing already on Friday the 13th in October, which was when The Exorcist was going to release. So they pushed that a week forward. I think it's David Blumhouse, whatever, posted a tweet on X or whatever it's called now, saying Taylor Swift won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I have good audio this time again.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, it was piss poor last time.
It wasn't great. I told you it sounded good, but it wasn't great. Then that's what happens when you record in a hotel room. There's a lot of open space and but I did go see Oppenheimer and it was good. Oh, that's right.
Again.
How was the IMAX experience?
It was pretty good. I was confused because I had bought tickets near the top where it showed like handicap seats because I have trouble with stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk into the theater and then I look to my right and just look up about 600 feet. And I was just like, what? How? What? And then I walked back to the lobby, and in the lobby, in a really weird spot, was an elevator that went to like the second floor, sort of mezzanine landing area. And so I came down that way. But yeah, it was good. It was nice to see it in IMAX. Glad I did so. Such a good movie. Such a good movie.
Did you ever get your brother to go see it, or?
No, it ended up coming off the Spokane screens before we could get that to happen. But as I was telling you, it's one of those movies, like at the end of it, you're like, wow, I feel awful. Like, a lot of movies, you're kind of energized. You're like, jazzed up. No, not on this one. You're like, yeah, they really did F everything up. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I guess, can you name a Christopher Nolan film that ends and you're just not like, well, fuck.
None of them are happy, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the issue is like, I don't want to spoil the movie, but if you haven't seen it by now, it's also, not. It doesn't matter if you spoil it. I know history. So it's just but there's a portion of the movie where they're like, they're concerned that it could start a chain reaction that would ignite the entire atmosphere and destroy the world. Mm-hmm. And they basically come up with a calculation that says that the odds of that are near zero.
Right.
And everyone's like, that's not quite good enough. Like, we need it to be zero.
Yeah.
So then later in the movie, he's interacting with Einstein. Whether this truly happened or not, I don't know. Like this specific scene, he says something like, I thought we'd create a chain reaction that would end the world or something, or destroy the world. Mm. And then he said, I think I did. End. And then it shows the world
chills.
Like starting on fire. And I'm just like, God damn, he's right. Yep. He really did.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Speaking of films coming to IMAX and Oppenheimer, Barbie is getting a run in IMAX. So
how?
Goodbye, Blue Beetle. I don't know. Maybe they shot in higher quality, or maybe they're just upscaling it to IMAX. So
we seem to be in disagreement, and several articles seem to be in disagreement. Blue Beetle did not do what they wanted.
Fiscally, it did not do what it wanted.
Thank you. Fiscally.
Like, it was not, I just saw today, it was the lowest DC film opening in the last decade.
The words "just stop" are coming to mind. Like, you might even agree with that.
I don't care about the DC, like,
you just
films.
Can't. Okay, you can't just name an insect and a color and have it be a popular character. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
No, and
I'm sorry.
It's not really a popular character. Maybe
I know.
The newest version, Jamie Reyes, might have gotten some popularity in the last 10 years because he's the newest version, and he's not white, which is, so Marvel does this thing where they've been not gentrifying, what's the opposite, diversifying their heroes.
Oh, that's fine.
With young teenagers of different ethnic backgrounds. DC feels like it's like they saw that and were like, how can we do this worse?
But like, okay, so what's next? Yellow frog? Like, are we just naming primary colors and animals? Are they just preschoolers?
All of these characters were created in the 1950s or 60s.
Trust me, I know.
So that's literally
I know that.
That probably was
my
their thought
point
process.
Is like it's just the creativity it's a beetle. Like, you just step on it. It doesn't do anything. It rolls like dung around.
Yeah.
What do you? And then it gets eaten by a bird. Shell.
Yep.
So what? How is that?
I like the character Blue Beetle in the DC animated universe. I think Young Justice had him in it, but like he's not a standalone character. He's not something that can carry a franchise. And this was left over from like the DC EU, which is the Batfleck and that era of characters. But since he doesn't interact with any of them, they're like, oh, this is the start of the new
Stick
universe.
with the popular ones. They're 80 years old almost.
They are.
Don't try to resurrect like crappy D-list, 50s superheroes. It's just not going to work. Yeah. Because you don't have name recognition. That's the problem. People come to see Batman. They come to see Spider-Man because people know what that is. If you asked me what Blue Beetle was, I would say it sounds like one of those aphrodisiacs you buy in the back of one of those magazines.
Make you love long time. But like think about Guardians of the Galaxy. They're probably the most, like, the third movie was probably the most popular of the franchise and of like the last 8 movies that came out. Marvel has done a better job of finding.
But Guardians of the Galaxy sounds cool. Like this sounds like a David Attenborough vehicle, Blue Beetle. Yeah. Okay. I do like the guy in it, who's the guy from Cobra Kai. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the actor. I don't like George Lopez much, but I
hope he gets another movie or two. But yeah. I heard the movie was solid, but that's
probably watchable. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, like it's watchable compared to like this. People showed me a clip from the Flash movie where he saves like a bunch of babies falling out of a hospital or something.
As often happens.
Yes. And I was just like, I was watching and I was just like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. They've had years to perfect this. I think I brought this up last week, but I was like, no. Like, I'm glad I didn't see that in the movie. Pokemon is ending in English this week.
Oh man,
Ash is leaving, so it's his final journey. He's gonna hook up with Brock and Misty, not like hook up sexually, but like he's going across. He's doing a farewell tour. Excuse me. Hopefully I cut that out in the audio. Should we summon Ferbdon?
Let's.
The 1990s were an extraordinary decade in the world of music and pop culture, and few places captured the essence of that era quite like Bumbershoot. Nestled in the heart of Seattle, Washington, this annual music and arts festival became a vibrant reflection of the times. It was a time when grunge reigned supreme, alternative rock was hitting up its stride, and waves of diverse musical genres emerged to shape the sounds of the decade.
Okay. That's the thing.
All right.
I
never went to Bumbershoot in the 90s because I was all of 12.
Yeah, I didn't really know about it either, but apparently it kind of got big towards the end of the 90s because, we were in the like post grunge and like start of the alt rock era. But for those of you outside of our Seattle bubble, I always did that when we were kids too. Bumbershoot is an annual international music and arts festival held in Seattle, Washington. It's one of North America's largest such festivals. It takes place every Labor Day, which is why we're talking about it on Labor Day weekend. It takes place every Labor Day weekend, and it takes place at the Seattle Center, which was built for the 1962 World's Fair. It's where the Space Needle is. There's indoor theaters and outdoor stages. It was pretty cool.
Not to mention EMP, Experience Music Project,
which they divided in half and turned half of it into like a sci-fi museum or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You haven't been?
No, I'll be working near there. Maybe I'll stop in.
It was like
get accosted by a homeless person and crapped on by a pigeon.
They did all things that have happened. It like half of it. It's gotta make money somehow on that horrible looking monstrosity. So it began as a city funded arts and music festival called the Mayor's Arts Festival back in 1971. It had a total of 125,000 visitors. It kind of, there was like a depression triggered by a near collapse of Boeing, but the festival kind of revived the local spirits, and then kept getting bigger and bigger each year. By 1973, they pulled in over 5 days. They pulled in 200,000 visitors, and national acts, incling people who I have no idea who they are. Yeah. John Handy.
Which only sounds familiar because of John Candy.
Exactly. 1974, it was 10 days long with 325,000 visitors. But then the government pulled their grant support for it, and then they tried to keep it afloat by doing posters and buttons and t-shirts. But
they probably just like had like 1,000 kilotons of marijuana dropped off
pretty much
each day.
Yeah. Yes, I remember, I think the first time I went, I was with someone whose father was a police officer, and they were very straight edge, and they're like, I think those people are smoking weed over there. I'm like,
I think they're smoking marijuana.
Yeah, I'm like, yes, they are. And then someone offered them a Jello shot, and I like smacked it down.
Yeah. No. It's got acid in it.
Probably. Yeah. So it kind of started getting small again, and losing the national acts through the late 70s. Also hampered by some rainy Labor Day weekends. And then in the 80s, it was brought into a Northwest nonprofit called One Reel. It kind of, yeah.
They produced the event.
Yes, which kind of screwed over the Seattle Center because they wanted to do it themselves, but whatever. Over the 80s and 90s, they started doing some stuff. It started getting bigger. There were national acts such as the Eurythmics, James Brown, Spinal Tap, Tina Turner, and then they had like art stuff too. There was a soapbox derby. And even though they were initially resistant to hip hop, they started doing hip hop acts too. And there's I think that's why the Cap Hill Block Party Award exists now.
A hip to the okay.
And then by the end of from the ashes of grunge rock scene came a new brand of Seattle sound. The alternative rock bands such as Sleater Kinney, Modest Mouse, Death Cab for Cutie, and Grand Archives all played Bumbershoot. And then as of 2019, the people that were producing it at that point declined to renew it. And COVID canceled it anyway. And it's now, their golden anniversary has been pushed to this year, 2023. There's a new company running it. And Bumbershoot's back, baby. It's only 2 weekends.
Baby.
But Andrew and I have both gone to this. I think Andrew's only gone to this because I forced him to go at one point. But I have some acts from the 90s from Bumbershoot. If you want me to run through those quickly, or do you want to talk about Bumbershoot first?
Let's talk about some of the notable acts first, and we'll go into it.
All right, 1990, we had Gladys Knight, Joe Walsh, Soundgarden, the Psychedelic Furs.
Joe Walsh, the guitarist for the Eagles, or one of?
Yes, I believe so.
He sings that horrible song, Rocky Mountain High, or Rocky Mountain Blues.
Rocky Mountain Low. Yep. 91, we had B.B. King, Chris Isaak, the Indigo Girls, the Posies, and Tony Bennett.
That's a very weird lineup,
right? Well, so I picked what I recognized, to
go from B.B. King to Tony Bennett to Indigo Girl, like that's just a very diverse lineup.
It was more diverse than I figured it would be. Also,
everyone was white, but no, just kidding.
Also, here's some diversity for you. In 1992, there's also comedy at Bumbershoot as well. So we had Queen Latifah, the Spin Doctors, and They Might Be Giants. The only
thing funny about Queen Latifah is that people think she's a good actress.
In 93, they're the Bare Naked Ladies, Dwight Yoakam, Gin Blossoms, Los Lobos, Mudhoney, Naughty by Nature, UB40, and Violent Femmes, and War.
What?
The band.
Crazy.
Are they the ones that do War, what is it good for?
I don't think so.
1994 saw Bonnie Raitt, Bruce Hornsby.
That's just the way it is. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da.
Bruce Hornsby. I was like,
Yeah.
that's not War. Jamie Foxx, who I didn't know had like a music career back
Or
at
is
this
it
time.
comedy?
So it might be comedy. Because he wasn't buying you a drink at this point. Wait, what song was this? Was it Buy You a Drink? No, that's T-Pain. Jamie Foxx had music in like the 2000s. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts also played. 95, we had Delamitri, known for the song Roll Me.
Which, isn't that the one I always thought was Blues Traveler?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Ramones played. Jimi Hendrix. Oh, there was a Jimi Hendrix tribute concert. Los Lobos, Mudhoney, and the Warped Tour came through in 95 with Sublime, No Doubt, and L7 among other Warped Tour bands. 1996, we had House of Pain. I want to say Insane in the Membrane. Indigo Girls again. Isaac Hayes. The Sex Pistols, which I assume without Sid Vicious. We had Seattle Classic, Sir Mix-a-Lot, and the Spin Doctors. 1997 saw the Foo Fighters, Beck, David Byrne from, I think that's Talking Heads, Sheryl Crow, Sonic Youth, Built to Spill, Tenacious D, Blues Traveler, Sleater Kinney, Wilco, Sugar Ray, Margaret Cho, comedy, Smash Mouth, Cake, David Cross, comedy, Patton Oswalt, also comedy, and Real Big Fish and MXPX. That would have been a cool one to go to. And then 98, we had Live, Third Eye Blind, Eve 6, They Might Be Giants, Cracker, Screaming Trees, Modest Mouse, Harvey Danger, and the Posies. And finally, in 1999, we got R.A.M., Sonic Youth, The Roots, Macy Gray, Death Cab for Cutie, Indigo Girls, Black Eyed Peas, Violent Femmes, Cake, Queens of the Stone Age, Everlast, Kathy Griffin, and the Tom Tom Club.
Wow, this is funny because I'm listening to, I just got into 1998 Loveline, and just think all of these people have been on the show.
I mean,
It's
they were
so
touring
weird.
at the time. It makes sense.
Today I listened to one and it was like the audio quality was epically good. Like it sounded
It's,
like a
getting
modern
better.
podcast. And I was just like, I almost couldn't tell it was old until they started talking about some of the acts.
So I remember I dragged you to the Death Cab for Cutie show at Bumbershoot one year. Did we go more than that?
Just once. I think there's a picture floating around somewhere on the internet of that fateful day.
Yes. Well, did we? I don't even feel like we saw any other acts other than Death Cab that day.
These were these two girls from your school that made us go or something.
Yep. It was Kelsey and Elise, I think. Shout out if you're listening.
And the rest is history. No, I've never saw them again.
No, you did not. And then let's see. And that was after high school though, too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Because so the first time I went to Bumbershoot was with Taylor. We saw Flogging Molly. We saw Aqueduct. I think I dragged him to this screamo band in the EMP that after like 2 songs he's like, can we leave? I'm like, oh, I was kind of enjoying it. Oh, Stacy, that was Flogging Molly was pretty dope. They were in like this little venue and rocked it. And then there's a year that I won tickets to go with Jessica, and like the main stage acts was Bob Dylan, which we thought we wanted to see, and then like it looked like it was a scarecrow propped up on stage. Like he too old, he didn't sound good, didn't sing the classics, so we split on that.
Yeah, sing the classic.
Yeah,
seriously. Like
if you're doing like a farewell tour, do the classics. Maybe it wasn't a farewell tour, but he should have been bowing out, and that was like 2010.
But the good news is there were no birds on stage.
Yeah. I mean, he's lucky there weren't any like vultures out.
What if it was a scarecrow and they were just playing a track? Didn't sound good enough to be a track.
It was. We were far enough away that you couldn't really see it. He didn't look. It looked like maybe it was like a Chuck E. Cheese animatronic. Like it was that bad. Sounds like a howling bag of cacks.
Erotica.
Bob Dylan.
No, it's a joke from Jurassic Park. He's trying. The lawyer's trying to ask, "Is this animatronic?" And he says,
yes.
"Is this autoerotica?"
Oh, I forgot. They had a Jurassic Park re-release last weekend.
Oh yeah, and then there was that whole controversy about Laura Dern's character being so much younger than Sam Neill's character.
Oh, it didn't.
There's actually a 2-year-old article.
That makes sense.
But the comments were a nightmare, by the way, on that article. Why did I read them?
Because
she took the money, so then now she's complaining. She wasn't complaining back then. I'm just like, I hate you so much.
Yeah. How dare she get paid for a job that she did that she now isn't comfortable with?
She didn't even really say that. She just said you wouldn't really get away with that these days. That was basically her comment. And she's probably right. So anyway.
I mean, the implication that like they're working together, but he's in a higher position. Well, yeah.
There is no movie where they spend less time developing the illusion of a romantic relationship. Like, you could kind of make the connection.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, they don't play it up at all.
No, it's hinted at.
They don't even, like, physically interact in a way that makes you think that they're together.
No.
Nor are they together in the book.
Oh, I didn't know that. Makes sense.
He's her professor. She's a grad student. In this, she has a PhD. A pretty huge... No, that's a Friends joke. Anyway, now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to Namely 90s Minute. Every week we'll look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of Season 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks premiering, we're looking back at one of the best Star Trek films of all time, Star Trek First Contact. Star Trek First Contact is a 1996 science fiction film directed by William T. Riker from Star Trek The Next Generation, starring the Star Trek The Next Generation cast like Professor Xavier, the director of this movie, the scientist that clearly died in Independence Day but is alive in Independence Day Resurgence, Reading Rainbow, as well as Mariah Stokes from Luke Cage as Picard's love interest, because why give Beverly something to do, the farmer from Babe, the Talking Pig movie as Zephyrin Cochrane, the founder of warp drive technology, and Damien Dark from the Arrowverse as Lieutenant Redshirt Hawk. Watch out for him on the deflector dish. The story starts in 2373 with the new USS Enterprise NCC-1701E, a Sovereign-class starship that replaced the Enterprise D, which they crashed on a planet in the last film, when the Borg attacked Earth. Since Picard has a history with the Borg, he was assimilated back in the Season 3 finale of TNG and rescued in the Season 4 premiere. The Admiralty has the Enterprise sit on the sidelines, doing science research, but they get a bunch of distress calls, so they decide to hell with orders and then race back to Earth to defend it with the rest of the fleet. They rescue Worf from the USS Defiant, his ship he commands on the show Deep Space Nine occasionally, and Picard takes control of the fleet, leading the Federation to a near victory, but a Borg sphere ejects from the Borg cube and travels back to the past to destroy Earth, but the Enterprise E follows it back and stops it before they do too much damage. The Borg managed to destroy a part of the test site for the first warp vehicle back in 2063, so the crew disguise themselves and beam down to Earth to help them fix the vehicles so they can still make first contact with the Vulcans when the Vulcans happen to be doing a survey in the area the next day. One of the humans from the past gets beamed up to the ship because she's hurt or something, and half the main crew goes back to the ship while the other half stays to help Zephyrin Cochrane get the Phoenix fixed and ready to fly. But he turns out to be a drunk looking to get rich, not the savior the history books describe him as. Back on the Enterprise, some Borg have beamed onto the lower decks of the ship and started taking over with the Borg Queen. The Borg capture Data, Picard meets Lily, the human beamed up earlier, and they then take on the Borg while trying to meet back up with the crew. Picard is forced to try and blow up the Enterprise again, but before they can do it, Data and the Borg Queen get Picard to meet them in engineering. Meanwhile, Cochrane is doing his first warp test flight in the Phoenix with the help of Riker and LaForge. Back in main engineering, Data is revealed to be getting skin from the Borg Queen, but he betrays her and helps Picard kill her, saving the day. Finally, back on Earth, the crew celebrate the first warp flight and then see the Vulcans make first contact. And that's Star Trek First Contact in a Namely 90s Minute. More or less.
And now, back to the show.
Let's just straight to Zordon, Ferbdon. Is this still a bit? It's been 6 months.
Barely. I don't know.
Welcome back to The Price is Wrong, bitch, where your knowledge of the iconic game show will be put to the test. Whether you're a diehard fan of the real show or just intrigued by our fictional games, this is your chance to prove your Price is Right expertise. From classic games like Plinko to the wildest fictional minigames, we'll challenge you with questions about the rules, strategies, and memorable moments of The Price is Right. Get ready to spin the wheel, guess the prices, and showcase your trivia prowess. Rip to the max, Bob Barker.
All right.
Did you watch Price is Right?
Oh yeah, every sick day.
Every sick day. Yep. Okay. Then you might do well on this. So I'm going to say you probably need 7 out of 10 to pass. And we'll lower it maybe to 6 out of 10.
And what am I saying? Well. What are the questions?
So I'm going to give you a game from The Price is Right. And there's a lot of games on The Price is Right. I'm going to just give you a quick description and you're going to tell me if it is a real game from The Price is Right or if I've used AI generative technology to develop a game.
All right, let's do it.
That isn't on The Price is Right. Just to, underscore how much we need writers and this is, support the writers. God damn it. I want my television back. Anyway. We're going to start off with Plinko. Contestants drop a disc down a pegboard and watch it bounce randomly off pegs before landing in a slot at the bottom. Each slot has a cash value. Is this a real Price is Right minigame or is it an AI generated one?
Each slot has a cash value except the ones that don't.
Except the ones that don't.
This is a real game.
That is correct. Right. Great job.
Ding.
Yeah, I didn't have a fun little name for this one. I just wanted to use The Price is Wrong. All right. So you got a point. You're already batting 100,000. Batting 1,000. I can math. Next up, we have Grocery Grab Challenge. Contestants have a limited time to fill a shopping cart with grocery items that add up to a specified total without going over. They win if the total matches the target price. Is this a Price is Right game or an AI generated fake?
I want to say no, fake.
All right. That is also correct. You're 2 out of 2. This is amazing.
Oh, sorry.
Finally doing a game where you know the things. Next up, cliffhangers. Contestants guess the prices of small items and a mountain climber figurine advances up a mountain with each incorrect guess. The goal is to prevent the climber from falling off the mountain by guessing the correct prices.
This is a real game.
Is it real? I would assume he yodels as he keeps going up the mountain. You're correct. Cliffhangers is a classic Price is Right game.
The funny thing is I remember both of these because of Family Guy. Because they both do bits on this.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Moving on. We have the big wheel. Contestants spin a large wheel to win cash and advance to the showcase. The closest to $1 without going over wins.
I don't think this is real.
You don't think this is real? The big wheel where you spin a giant wheel carousel.
You're not trying to get closest to $1. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, is that your final answer?
Yeah.
You are incorrect. It is. They're trying to get the values on the wheel are under 100, and you're trying to get to the closest you can get to $1. You get like 2 or 3 spins, and then there's that one.
That backwards. I didn't know that.
There's the $1 space, and then there's like the 5s around it.
I was trying to get the most.
That's fair. You're at 3 out of 4 still, though. That's pretty good.
Right.
You got stumped by a real one. And next up, we have Price Pyramid Climb. Contestants must arrange items in order from least expensive to most expensive to ascend a pyramid and win prizes.
This is a real game.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
You are wrong. This is not a real game. This is an AI generated game.
I could have sworn it was real.
It's basically, I believe what they just did is they took the mountain climber and turned it into, well, no, they just, this is a game from like Double Dare or something. Next up, we have Hole in 1 or 2. Contestants putt a golf ball to win a car. The number of putts depend on how well they do in pricing grocery items.
That's obviously not real.
Is that real or AI generated?
That's AI.
That is also a real game.
How?
I don't remember this one on. Oh, actually, I remember seeing this. I don't remember how it works.
Oh, it's a follow-up to the grocery item thing. Wait.
Which one?
Isn't that supermarket sweep like
the golf ball or the pyramid climb?
It says no. The golf ball one says the number of putts depends on how well they do in pricing grocery items. Oh, they must just have to guess the price of them.
Yeah,
this is going to crap really fast.
You're down to batting 500. 3 out of 6. You're still in it, I think.
All
yep.
right.
That means you got to get the rest of them right to get 7 out of 10. And maybe we'll have to lower it down to 60 for the win condition. But let's just keep going. We have dice game. Contestants roll dice to guess the prices of a car. Each digit in the price is represented by one of the die.
Not real.
Is this real or AI generated?
AI.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
It is real. Dice game.
Wow. Who watched this piece of shit show? That sounds fucking boring. There's no entertainment value in that.
Well, they roll. They're like giant fuzzy cubes, and they roll them, and then they try to place it in the thing. All right. You're at 3 out of 7. Let's lower the win condition to 50% just for fun. Switcheroo. Contestants have to correctly match the prices of small items to win a larger prize. They are given a certain number of chances to make matches. That's switcheroo. Contestants have to correctly...
This is definitely real.
Okay. Final answer.
Yes.
You are correct. That brings you up to 50% again. Just got to get one more to not lose. Next up, we have Spin to Win Bingo. Contestants spin the wheel and aim to land on numbers that complete their bingo card. The first to complete their card shouts bingo and wins. Is that a real Price is Right game
AI.
or an AI generated one? You're correct. It is an AI generated one, which leaves you batting. What was that? 5 out of 9. Let's see. Well, let's see if you get to my original win condition. Last one. We have lucky number lockdown. Contestants are given a set of numbers and must arrange them in the correct order to open the vault. Each correct attempt moves them closer to a quote-unquote lockdown. Is this a real Price is Right game?
I want to say it's AI.
AI generated. Final answer for all the marbles. That's correct. Ding. It is an AI generated game. You got 6 out of 10, which was kind of the original win condition.
That's better than I did in organic chemistry. So
60%. 60 gets you a D still.
D's get degrees, or C's get degrees is actually what they say.
They do say that. Yeah. You were doing so strong, and then
because I couldn't believe some of this crap was like entertaining enough to be on television.
Daytime television. Like, what else were you gonna watch when you're sick at home?
All right,
Regis and Kelly.
Old people can't follow anything too fast.
True, which is why you had to roll soft die. Anything else about Bob Barker up to the max? Price is Right. Originally I was going to make a Pokemon game where you had to tell me if the Pokemon was real or not, but I thought that would be too visual for our listeners.
Let's see. I sent you the Family Guy clip. I didn't realize they were from the same clip. And that's why I did well. Thank you, Family Guy. I don't know. It was a good show. I always liked that Bob Barker had like the long microphone.
Oh yeah.
From like the 70s.
And he inspired you to spay and neuter animals?
Get those pets spayed and neutered.
Yeah. That's it for this week's episode of, this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you'll find new episodes out every Monday. Join us next week for a deep dive episode on what? I do not know. Find us on Instagram and YouTube at Namely 90s with 90s. Or if you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/namely90s, also with 90s. I think it still exists. Finally, you can also contact us through our website, namely90s.com. No, you can't. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, Spay and Neuter Your Pets, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon, that's Andrew, and we'll catch you next time. I try to say goodbye. I try to walk away and I stumble. Try to hide, but it's clear. I blow elephants when you're not here.